For those of you who don't know me, kia ora, ko te Raira Takawingoa, ko Ngāti Pākehā Aho. It gives me great pleasure to be here in Palmerston North at this awards night again. For those of you who saw me a couple of years ago, I had the pleasure of judging those ones as well, and it was a wonderful experience. But this time, I'm simply here to read out the names of the finalists and then to disappoint many of them by reading someone else's name out as the winner. I had one of those kind of wonderful moments this year. As you know, if you do know me, I do visit a number of museums around the country. I happen to be doing the FMG Young Farmer of the Year regional finals this year, so I got to see a lot of different parts of the country, and I'd always find something in the middle of the afternoon. I'd go, what can I do? And I encountered many things. I did a lot of river swimming and a wonderful ex-dredge hole where you could swim, but I was in Kihikihi, south of Te Amuru, and I was just driving around. I thought, I'll go through the back streets and I'll see if there's something to do, and I drove past a sign that said Space Museum, and I thought, oh my god, a space museum. It was like an old sort of little Kihiki town hall that looked and had quite a nice sign outside. I thought, well, I've got to go and see this. I'll tell you what, the great thing about little museums is going in and discovering something you had no idea existed. It would be, and I've been to the big ones. I've been to Albuquerque and Houston to the Space Museums there. I've been to the Smithsonian. None of them, as far as I'm concerned, equal the Kihikihi Space Museum. It was absolutely fantastic. Round of applause. How many people have been there? In fact, is there anyone there from there? It is one of those great museums. I met the guy who runs it. I think he also owns it. He made a lot of money in software, and he's now spending all that money running the Kihikihi Space Museum. And there were things I did not expect to find in the lower Waikato. I say that, I don't mean it in a patronising way. It's in the upper Waikato. It's the south Waikato. It's a great part of the country, filled with a lot of rich history. But there was a cosmonaut sleeping bag. There were signed things from NASA. I sat there for an inordinate length of time watching a live feed of the space station. It had just gone over Yemen, and it was over the ocean. It was basically all dark. I was watching a dark computer screen, but I was in Kihikihi, and I was watching the sort of the furthest frontiers of human science and endeavour. And that's what I love. Now people say, what is he to do in that part of the world? I say, have you been there? I bore people at every conference that I've been to saying, have you been to the Kihikihi Space Museum? And I know that I say the same thing when I go to other towns as well. So welcome to all of you from, I don't know why I'm saying that. It's just, it was a profoundly moving experience. And basically that is what we're celebrating tonight. Large institutions and small institutions making a difference in people's lives. Having people come through their doorways or into their facilities and going away, hopefully profoundly changed. So, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to you all. A little bit of housekeeping. If you have a cell phone, now's an excellent time to put it on silent. There is obviously no smoking in here. If you have been here during the conference, you all know that if you are to smoke, essentially you head out the doors, you walk up to the square, then out to the far side of town, the road to Fielding. Walk there. If you're puffed, by the time you get there, reassess your life options. There are bathrooms, male and female, not yet really reaching that kind of non-gender, binary gender sort of inclusivity that we want to have. So basically just use whichever one you want. Emergency exits, there, and the airport. Is anyone on the 8:25 flight to Auckland tomorrow? Anyone? Go, because I don't want to sort of waste a taxi fare just taking myself there. If anyone's on that 8:25 flight and they're staying at the Distinction Hotel, do have a chat to me. We'll share a cab. A massive thank you to the sponsors, ServiceIQ, and our collaborators, Arts Access Aotearoa, and Museums Shops Association of Australia and New Zealand. I love functions like this because you discover associations you had no idea existed. And you think, how can I join that? The Museums Shops Association. I want to set up a little museum and so I can have a tiny shop and join that association. We'd also like to thank Museums Aotearoa as well, and most importantly, we want to thank all of the applicants who applied for this, whether or not you became a finalist or indeed a winner. I think whenever anyone applies to a competition such as this, invariably, whatever the results, you end up as a stronger institution. So let's have a round of applause for everybody who even went to remember the dossier from last time. I've still got, it's massive. I've yet to finish reading it. No, I didn't. I read it all before the judging. There were 51 applications this year in 10 categories. For each category, there was a panel of industry experts, and they were invited to review all of the submissions. And applications were judged on vision, engagement, resourcefulness, innovation, and the unique contribution and generation of new knowledge in their specific category. The finalists were then reviewed by a separate overall judging panel to confirm the winners. So it has gone through a very rigorous state, and from memory last time it was rigorous, and there was a lot of robust conversation. So let's, at this point of the night, have a round of applause for all of those judges. Here's how it is going to work. We're going to announce the finalists, pretty much one by one. If you are one of those finalists, you will rise from your seat. You'll walk up the stage. There is a ramp here or some stairs, and then you will walk and assemble just over here as I read your citation out. Then we'll be able to see who all of the finalists are, and then what I'll do is I will read the winner. The winner will look suitably shocked. The finalists who didn't win will look suitably like they didn't win, but they're kind of going, oh, well, that's good that that other person won. Excellent. You've seen the Oscars, you know how it works. The winner is then invited to make a brief speech. I say a brief speech. Essentially, around about a minute. Probably, as I say, I host a lot of awards nights. I have never in 20 years been to an awards night where anyone said, well, it was good, but I wish the night had been longer. So, if it looks like you're going to thank everybody who contributed towards your exhibition and their whakapapa, essentially what will happen is I will just move closer to you until eventually I will be uncomfortably close. You'll notice and stop speaking. You can put all of those thanks in a press release or a clever tweet and send that out later on. The finalists will have some photographs of you all up here in a group, and then finalists and winners during the break from the first half, we'll get those finalists and winners to assemble over there, and then likewise again after the end of it, so that we can get those lovely photographs of everybody. And I know that you'll want to be in those photographs, to be in the permanent archive of these awards, because we do know how much you all love archives. So, any questions? This is the dull stuff. I'm just rollicking through it. No one came along tonight going, I wish the housekeeping was excellent. So, here is how it's going to go. The ServiceIQ Museum Visitor Experience Award, the Arts Access Aotearoa... you can sign it. The Art Access Aotearoa Museum Award, the Museum Shops Association Australia and New Zealand Best New Product Award, the Most Innovative Public Program, and then we will have Innovative Use of Te Reo Māori and Exhibition Excellence Taonga Māori will be in the first break. Then we will have a little 10-minute intermission, at which I can give you the great pleasure of announcing there will be $5 drinks. Hey. What a lovely crowd. There are other people I know who would have actually at that point got up and started to queue. So congratulations to you. After the break we have the Exhibition Excellence in Art, Science and Technology, Social History, and then the Museum Project Award. So, ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome the first of our sponsors from ServiceIQ, Mr. Dean Minchington. I got quite when I spoke to you earlier on, Dean. Thank you. Here is Dean from ServiceIQ.
Look, geez, there's a lot of you out there, isn't there? Great turnout. When I looked at this, something came to mind. Somebody once described tourism as the scenery, the people and the stories that join them together. Then I consider museums. It's quite like that, isn't it? It's the scenery or the landscape through time and the stories that bring it to life and the people that take us there. So I love museums. I visit quite a few of them. I went on a trip. We're doing our business breakfast series. It's a bit of an advertising, but just went up north and managed to go to a couple of museums that I've been wanting to go to for a while. The Waitangi Treaty Grounds. You guys here? Yep, beautiful. And the Curry Museum. Yay! Both different takes on exhibitions and both brilliant. But a couple of things came to mind. One, it's a very long way between petrol stations in the far north, which meant getting to the Curry Museum was quite exciting right up until the last minute. Please thank your local petrol station for being there. But both of those exhibitions, both of those museums are complex organisations. There's hospitality, there's retail, there's tour guiding, there's many, many things out there. which align to your ITO, us, very well, because we cover all of the hospitality, tourism, museums, retail, all of the things that has to do with kind of travel, all the good stuff, eating, drinking, shopping, that kind of stuff. So it's a really good alignment, and it's a partnership. We can only engage with your committed staff when there is a committed employee. So we are here because of you, and the commitment that the museum sector has to education and training is just second to none. So it was a no-brainer when we got asked to sponsor these awards tonight, and I'm very proud to be able to do that. But it is about celebrating your excellence, not listening to me. So I'm going to hand back to Radar for our first award of the night, the Museum Visitor Experience Award.
I think I was going to cry until the end. So ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for all three of our finalists. More reasons to stop in that beautiful town other than just their excellent whitebait fritters and that beautiful view down onto the river. So, congratulations to you. I'd like now to invite Richard Benge, the Executive Director of Arts Access Aotearoa Whakahoho Katoa Ohanga, to the stage. Welcome, Richard.
Hello everybody, thanks Dorado. What a great night. This is a first among firsts, and to have a whole sector together to acknowledge inclusion in museums is a big deal for Arts Access Aotearoa. And Dean, you talked about education and service qualities. We're now into inclusion. We've always been into inclusion, but now it's front and centre. So Philippa, I'd really like to thank you for taking the initiative and the board from Museums Aotearoa for this. We've all been waiting for it. And now, tonight, who would be the person, the people, and the institution that is front and centre in this? Well, really, it's been a long journey. These things don't happen just overnight, as you know. The team has been working in the community with what we call a creative space, a local organisation that works with people who have learning difficulties and bringing them into the museum in the public area. And not only in the public space running an art studio that visitors to the museum engage with, but the folks with learning difficulties and art students and members of the public are all there as well. We're all included, no labels. And then what happens when you take that art and you put it in an exhibition in your museum, your leading regional museum, and then you put it in juxtaposition with your collection with leading names in the contemporary and fine arts area world in New Zealand. And then you get the public to consider this. What is the label? Who's a fine artist? Who's a community artist? And does it really matter? The inaugural winner of this effort is Palmerston North's own Te Manawa Museum. Andy, where are you? Where's Andy Rowe?
Congratulations, and also a big thanks to the judges, Robin Hunt, Senior Analyst with Axes, Richard Benge was a judge, and Philippa Tocker, the Executive Director of Museums Aotearoa. What about a round of applause for them as well? Thank you. Alright, we'd like now to welcome to the stage Matt Lee and Karen Baudot, Museums Shops Association of Australia and New Zealand. Welcome to Matt and Karen.
Thank you, hello everybody. I'm Matt, this is Karen. with the sort of the Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway of the evening, so let's hope we can get these right. Now, the Museum Shop Association of Australia and New Zealand is a non-profit professional organisation, and it's the only one dedicated to cultural retail management in Australasia. So when you open your museum shop, your store, don't forget to come and let us know.
What are the membership fees?
Oh, well, discuss later, special discount. Now our focus is to maximise the creativity, success and reputation of cultural institution shops as core contributors to their institutions through advocacy and providing assistance, information and professional development. So it's basically making people realise that all our institutions need money, we need revenue, and the store is one of the major ways that we can get the revenue in. Now last year we changed our name to add New Zealand officially to our title to reflect an increasing number of members from conference attendees from New Zealand. So to amalgamate more closely with New Zealand, we're delighted to partner with Museums Aotearoa, there we go, on the inaugural Best Product Award at this year's MA Conference. Now, like most things, New Zealand is actually ahead of Australia, as we've managed to pull this off before we've done ours by others. Now, this award is for the institution that has created, designed and produced the best new product or range of products for their museum, store and retail outlets. We were looking for products that appealed to a wide range of audiences, that demonstrated financial and environmental sustainability and was relevant to the core mission of the institution's theme. And it was really cool and they sold and made lots of money from. So, for the first ever winner for this inaugural award, the first in this year's award winner is the Auckland War Memorial Museum. All the products have been made using suppliers local to Auckland or where possible or in New Zealand, and environmental consciousness has been recognised through the use of organic and unbleached fabrics. Lisa, congratulations.
Wow, this is awesome, thank you. I'd like to thank the powers that be for giving us this opportunity and recognising that retail is a really important part of museums. I want to thank everybody on the team. I mean, we're an amazing team and we work so well together. So it's really a team award. And share one story of one thing I could not get over the line, which really gutted me. We based the theme around quotes from famous New Zealand songs and singers, and my singer was Lord, the song was Royal, and the quote was "Let me be your ruler," and I wanted to put it on a roller. Record company said no. So, missed opportunity. But thanks everybody.
I would totally have bought that ruler. Would now I'd like to introduce Narina Ellis, Museum Studies AU, Judge for Taonga Māori and Te Reo categories, to the stage. Welcome to you. While you come up, shall I regale people with the story of the Lions of Lawrence? It is a great story. And it's one of the, as far as taxidermy goes, if you don't know the story of how they got there, it is, I think, one of the great New Zealand success stories. And it also incorporates the Harris gang. Welcome.
Kia ora koutou, e ngā mana ngā reo ngā hui whā tēnā tātou katoa. Te mea tuatahi, he mihi ki te haukainga, kia rangi tāne, tēnā koutou. Ki te kaimahi o tēnei hui, whakahirahira, tēnā koutou ki rau rangatira mā, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko Ngāri no Alice, taku ingoa, no Ngāpui, no Ngātipurau, tēnā tātou katoa. Hello everyone, my name's Ngāri no Alice, Ngāri no Alice. Anyway, I'm one of the judges there were 4 judges for the innovative use of Te Reo Māori and exhibition Excellence Taonga Māori. They were all excellent and wonderful exhibitions that we were looking at. It was a very, very difficult decision, so difficult we don't even know who the winners are, which is really terrific. Overall, in terms of Taonga Māori, we noticed that a lot of it was about empowering staff. and it was really wonderful to hear so many of the applications reflecting on that, about how the staff were empowered, how there was engagement of a whole number of different groups, engagement of artists, engagement of whānau hapuiwi, engagement of a whole number of different communities, Chinese communities, a lot of different communities, the use of new technologies, and the ways in which AV material was worked into the displays. And this engagement was not only just during the exhibition, but more importantly almost before and also afterwards, so those relationships were meaningful and continued. In terms of most innovative use of te reo, we noticed that there was a range of formats used, from straight translation, so you'd have a Māori text and then an English text, and then there were some which would have just English and then there'd be some te reo in there. All of them were thoughtful and thought-provoking. We noticed that, and we're excited by the use of tikanga throughout, the use of social media particularly, in which the museum and the exhibition could go out in the community through Twitter and through Facebook, as well as physically going out into the community, and that's really one of the remits of museums, and it's about going out there and just engaging those communities that we were hearing about this morning with the Pacific communities up in Auckland, which is really, really exciting. I teach museum studies up at Auckland University, and for this semester I teach a course which is called Māori Indigenous Perspectives, and they're not allowed to read anyone who's not Māori or Indigenous. And that's quite difficult because most of the writers about us are not from our communities. And so it's wonderful to come to conferences like this to see the writers who we are reading, Kesa and Ngā Huia and Awhina, all of them out there, such strong writers. And so ultimately these exhibitions that we were looking at are about people. It's about engaging the treasures that are inside these museums and using them as a catalyst for the re-empowerment of our communities. He te mea nui, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. So, without further ado, are you going to now tag team with me?
Yes, I am.
Tag.
Tag.
Okay, go.
Sorry for the name thing. I got Dean's name wrong as well. And
My great-grandmother wouldn't be worried at all, I'm
right,
sure.
yes. In fact, last week I was in Waipawa for an event, and I nailed the Māori pronunciation of a woman's name, and then she came and she went, "I'm Dutch." Very awkward. So, the judges in this, you were a judge, thank you very much. Trifina Cracknell, the development coordinator from Hastings City Art Gallery, was also a judge. Paula Tibble, the iwi development advisor for Museum of New Zealand Te Papa Tongarewa, was a judge, as was Rania. I know, I should have put it in a bigger font.
Say it slower.
Aotearoa. I'm going to go to a size 16 font next time. Who was from the Museum of New Zealand Te Papa Tongarewa as well. So, the finalists. A round of applause for those judges. The first of the judges, Museum of Transport and Technology, or MOTAT, for their The Innovators exhibition. A round of applause for them. Of working te reo into larger sections of English language text in order to normalise te reo as part of the general vocabulary in relation to innovation which audiences would appreciate. Having text which weaves together two languages is cheeky in its covert way of educating the English language reading audience to learn kupa Māori. So congratulations to you. Finalists, a round of applause for Nelson's Provincial Museum with good luck for this rooster year. Are they here? Yes, coming up from the back. This is an exciting exhibition which reaches out to new communities with its novel trilingual approach to display. It has a real potential to engage with different audiences through use of language in a number of different ways. And as the demographic of New Zealand changes, it is important that museums, large and small, are able to reflect this changing population in exhibitions. So congratulations to you. second of our finalists, we head back north for Tamaka. I know. Thought there'd be more light, and I thought my font was going to be big enough. Got to that age now where things have to be at the right focal distance. I never thought I'd be that person, but now I am. 45. Might not look it. Invest in a very good moisturiser. Tamaki Paenga, Hira, Auckland War Memorial Museum for Mana. Rich and well thought through program which is carefully regarded early childhood pedagogies. Early childhood. Yeah, pedagogies. That's a big word to teach the wonders of natural science in Te Reo Māori and incorporating Maturanga Māori elements. The educators worked with experts at the museum to develop new language for scientific concepts and models of delivering content based on collections. This program has the potential to create aspirations for tamariki to become global leaders in science. So congratulations to you. And finally, my home museum, Waikato Museum, Te Whānau Marama, the Heavenly Bodies. Congratulations to you. The exhibition has the potential to inspire Māori language speakers to seek further information and study further the area of Māori cosmology. By having a Māori narrative, the information and themes in the exhibition are disseminated to the audience. So ladies and gentlemen, these are the finalists. A big round of applause for all of them. Just so they can get a photograph of all of the finalists together. Crowd up, everybody. Here we go. Hello. I'm looking over my shoulder. All right. What an excellent group of finalists. And the winner is Tamaki Paenga Hira.
Thank you very much. Firstly, I'd like to thank MA for the award and congratulations to all the finalists. I think just chatting at the table, it's very hard, some amount of work everyone's put into it, and I think everyone deserves a big round of applause for all the efforts. Because I'm really lucky I get to be on stage. We're actually a huge team who worked on this project 2.5 years, and my colleague Brenda Rari, who actually did this project with me, is not here tonight, and I'm sure she'll be very proud, and I look forward to celebrating with her back in Auckland. But thank you to Auckland Museum, to everyone who supported the project, and massive congratulations to the team.
Yeah, just wanted to thank the people on the screen. You can see Ariana and Iwi, also Kata and Brenda helped in the delivery, and just their language skills, it wouldn't have been possible without them.
Welcome back. Hello everyone. Very interesting conversation during the break on the horrors of the Russian front, because that's the kind of crowd this is. So, as soon as everyone is settled, we might just drop those, there we go, plunge back into some appropriate mood lighting. Ladies and gentlemen, the second half. We should roll up through this within about half an hour and then head off to dinner. So will you please welcome to the stage Cam McCracken, the Director of the Dunedin Public Art Gallery and the Chair of Museums Aotearoa.
I just wanted to take a minute or two just to talk a little bit about the awards this year. Observant members of the audience will notice that the categories have been expanded. We felt that these were one of the most important things that we do. This is a time for us to stop and pause and reflect on the year that's gone by and celebrate all of the wonderful things that we do as a sector, and to push up those projects, those exhibitions, those initiatives that are truly exceptional. So I want to acknowledge and thank all of the people who've put entries in, and warmly congratulate all of those winners tonight. These, like I said, these are one of the most I think important things that we do, and will make such a difference for some institutions. I was lucky enough to be on the stage with MOCAL, the institution from MOCAL, and I know that will make such a big difference to that institution. So all power to these awards.
Here. All right, Exhibition Excellence Awards. The first one is art, and judges in this one: Megan Dunn, who was a freelance art writer; Heather Galbraith, Associate Professor, Aotearoa School of Art, Massey University; and Zara Stanhope, Principal Curator and Head of Programs, Auckland Art Gallery, Toi Otamaki. A round of applause for those judges. Exhibition Excellence category for art. The first of our finalists is the Dowse Art Museum with Legacy, the art of Rangi. The judges said the combination of social history, imagery and material culture was sensitively and judiciously installed. Working with the Hetet whānau and showcasing their creative lives and cultural leadership was curatorially innovative and shifted the way the institution approached their work. So, congratulations to them. The second finalist is Te Tuhi, the HIVE hums with many minds. The judges said this was a meta-exhibition that responded to global and social concerns and resulted in the production of ambitious new works. The thematic approach wove together practices from across a range of contexts and a broad range of cultural perspectives. The exhibition felt fresh and coherent with strong attendance figures and was generated on a modest budget. So congratulations to you. I don't know if it's going to be is it the same team? Right, well, a round of applause for Te Tuhi. Share, cheat, unite. The leading edge of curatorial practice and exhibition making within Aotearoa and internationally. This project is an example of Te Tuhi being real innovators and risk takers, pushing their modest-sized staff, you all of them, and budget to capacity to achieve an ambitious and responsive exhibition with programming that reflects current methodology and consciousness around art practice and community. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are our three finalists. The winner is Te Tuhi for Share, Cheat, Unite.
Wow. Thank you, Museums Aotearoa. Thank you, the judges. It's very embarrassing to be selected for two shows, and I'd just like to acknowledge the Dowse for their fantastic show. Yeah, it was a long road, this exhibition, with lots of live events, and I'd just like to really thank the artists for putting in so much work into their projects. And our team, which is more than just Hirani and I, it's actually a really fearless bunch of people who follow artists down a really interesting, winding path. Hirani, did you want that? Thank you to Auckland Council and also to the Contemporary Art Foundation for their continued support. Thank you.
Several of Jock's books in my collection. So, the finalists in the Social History Exhibition Excellence category. The first, one of my favourite museums. They're all my favourite museums. One I do a lot of work at, actually, the Air Force Museum of New Zealand for 80 years and 80 stories. Congratulations to them. This exhibition exhibition used archival collections to provide a balance of stories and presented them in a new, engaging and unexpected way. Great for audiences to see how the collection will develop as a research tool in the future, for creating a reusable exhibit which can be assembled in any environment and tells the story in a succinct and human way. So congratulations to you, the Air Force Museum of New Zealand. Second of our finalists, congratulations, the Nelson Provincial Museum for Murder, Maungatapu. Favourite New Zealand stories. This innovative exhibition focused on a very specific event utilising images, recontextualising objects and information resources held by the museum, reaching a younger audience with a range of access points including local history, local artists, theatrical display, digital media and a fascination with murder and CSI type investigations. Congratulations to the Nelson Provincial Museum. Third of the finalists, Puketapu-Hetet Auckland War Memorial Museum for Volume, Making the Music in Aotearoa. The judges said the museum stepped out of its comfort zone and excelled in making an immersive, participatory exhibition that created emotional connections for visitors, appealing to a wide range of audiences and inspiring social interaction whilst underpinned by sound, music, history, knowledge and respect. Curators unearthed some great objects and the audience can take away elements which they have created, giving an extra buzz to the exhibition, so congratulations to you. And in this category, the fourth and final finalist is Toitu Otago Settlers Museum for Slice of Life, the world famous Dunedin study. The judges said this presented a well-known and internationally important academic study to a wide audience using the elements that museums do best. Combine objects, images, text and interactives to create an immersive and engaging visitor experience. It worked closely with the Dunedin study research community and increased local pride and tapped into community nostalgia and curiosity. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 excellent exhibitions. A round of applause for each of the finalists. And the winner is the Nelson Provincial Museum for Murder.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Museum Aotearoa. Thank you so much, ServiceIQ. Thank you so much, Nelson Provincial Museum team, who are really small but really awesome. In fact, we don't actually have an exhibition team yet, but yet we've been nominated for 3 exhibitions. So you guys are fantastic. Thanks to our amazing trust board who have such confidence in us to tell these risky stories that are well outside the norm and have let us play and have some fun and take some risks. So thank you to you guys. Thank you to the Te Tao Committee, our steering group from the 6 Mana Whenua Iwi. Thank you, everybody.
So, ladies and gentlemen, one last award. Will you please welcome to the stage Dr. David Butts, the Manager of Heritage Operations Ministry for Culture and Heritage, to make a special announcement. Welcome, David.
Rauranga te rama, e te whānau o maina. E nā kaimahi, I nā whare taonga pūtanoa I te motu. Nā mihi nui kia koutou. I tika ana kia whakanuitia tō tātou kuia a maina mō ana mahi nui I te ao o te whare taonga. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa. It is nice to be so well received from the ministry, but in fact I'm not thinking of myself this evening as being the man from the ministry. I was very pleased when Philippa phoned me a few weeks ago to invite me to say a few words about Maina Mackenzie at the annual conference. I must say though, and I don't want to divert because I know that time is of the essence, but it does seem to me that Maina deserves a little time. I was going to say though that I'd had a very exciting day. I drove up in the rain, and to my utter surprise, well actually it wasn't raining. It was not raining when I left Wellington, and I want everyone to know that. But on the way it kind of started to close in on me, and you probably won't believe this. Without touching a lever, the wipers began to move by themselves. And as the rain became more intensive, the wipers went faster. And as the rain abated, they went slower. And having Maina in my mind, I thought, yes, this is true to my kaupapa this evening, Maina. She was a person who was a change adopter. They're not words she would have used. Except when people wanted to change to using military language to describe the way in which organisations organise themselves, she was not a keen person to be going on missions. So, Philippa asked me to come and talk about Maina. And she said the purpose was twofold. First, Museums Aotearoa could not hold a conference in Palmerston North and not acknowledge the significant contribution that Maina made to the development of the Manawatu Museum, the museum sector and the wider heritage sector, and much beyond that. And secondly, because the Museums Aotearoa Board wanted to signal to its membership that it's in the process of developing a new award that will acknowledge Maina's contribution to the sector. While I'm pleased to have the opportunity to acknowledge Maina's contribution, I'm very conscious that there are a number of people still active in the museum sector, and some of them here this evening, who worked closely with Maina and who would have spoken much more eloquently than me. First, I want to acknowledge Bruce Mackenzie, Maina's wife, and her daughter Kirsten, and Louisa was intending to be here, but she's not well, and I know that she would be here with us in spirit, who are in the audience this evening. Those of us who worked with Maina know how deeply she was committed to her family, and that she was only able to achieve what she did because of the support that she had from her family. I first met Maina when I came to Palmerston North to be interviewed for a position of museum curator at Manawatu Museum in 1979. The museum had relocated from the house where it was originally established into an old brick building close to where Te Manawa is currently located. It was then probably the smallest professionally staffed museum in New Zealand, and I was not inspired by the appearance of the museum. But I was inspired by Maina. I had never met anyone quite like her. The way she described her vision for what Manawatu Museum could be made me want to be part of her team. Maina laid the foundation for the institution that has become Te Manawa, and perhaps more than anything else, her legacy is seen in the continuing emphasis on the museum as an educational institution engaging with diverse communities, and we've seen evidence of that this evening. I also remember when Maina would return from overseas trips with wonderful stories about museums, museum people she had seen, and she would inspire us with new ideas and challenge us to incorporate these things in our practice. I also remember her passion for buying things when she was travelling, especially Italian shoes. She came back from these trips looking sharp as a tack. Maina was a person of both social and intellectual sophistication. She wasn't just bright, she was sophisticated. She had the remarkable ability of being able to make connections with most people she encountered and could inspire very diverse audiences. She also had the ability to make a significant contribution to the development of policy and practice at the local and national level. Those of us who had the privilege of working with her know that she was a teacher, a mentor, and an inspired leader. Maina spent much of her life being a bridge between Māori and Pākehā communities. And she said in later life, being a bridge can be both immensely rewarding and very hard work. Sometimes it's not fun, not much fun, having people walking backwards and forwards across you. Maina provided a beacon of hope for both Māori and Pākehā museum professionals, conscious of the need to build more meaningful relationships between Māori and tangata whenua. I want to conclude by mentioning four significant, what I think of as significant contributions, and I know that other people would mention other things, but we only have so much time. Maina made a significant contribution to the museum, to the Museums Association. I can't remember exactly what it was called, variously through those periods, eventually being elected as chairperson for a period. And it was during this period that she was asked to join the Te Māori Management Committee. Maina enjoyed the experience of Te Māori immensely, and it's not to say that it wasn't challenging, and had the most wonderful stories to tell about travelling with the taonga and the kaumātua who accompanied the exhibition to each venue. Maina was also the chairperson of the Cultural Conservation Advisory Council in the late 1980s and early 1990s that was responsible for developing a strategy to train cultural material conservators for New Zealand. During the time this council was active, a generation of conservators were trained, and they went on to become the foundation of the museum conservation profession as we know it today. It's perhaps an indication I can't forget entirely the fact that I'm the man for the ministry, or I might have something to say about the demise. And the fourth contribution was both local and national. When the Museum Studies program was established at Massey University in the late 1980s, Maina played an active part in both planning the program and in teaching, and for many students it was the time they spent with Maina that was the most special thing about the program. In all of these things, one of her special talents was knowing how to harness the skills of the very able people she was working with. She would have been the last person to say that she did these things alone. There will be many other things that Maina contributed to that I have not commented and mentioned, and I'm sure these will be discussed over the meal this evening. And finally, I want to come back to the thing that the Board of Museums Aotearoa has decided to develop an annual award in Maina's name to acknowledge a person in the museum community who has made an innovative contribution either through their own area of museum practice or in the wider museum community. The board will make more details available about this proposal as it is finalised. And just to reassure you that the Maina Mackenzie Scholarship, which has been in place for some time and is generally offered, I think, every third year, will also be awarded next year. Thank you for the opportunity to come and just say a few words about Maina. And I think it's important that we remember these people who have made a significant contribution to the sector over many years. We should do this much more actively. Anō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa.
Thank you, David. Very well made point. Sometimes we spend so much time, I think, managing to tell the stories of people from the past that we forget to tell the stories of the people who are with us at the moment in the present. So thank you very much again. A round of applause for David for that wonderful tribute